just finger gunned me right into the parking lot. I said, "Oh, okay, so this is how it's
Coco
going."
was a solid backup. Chris has been shitting on Coco all year.
God, this guy
I'm
Coco Giants.
look,
You're
I'm
going to
riding
put him
that
in
Coco
double-digit
bandwagon
goals.
all year.
He couldn't even get off the plane properly. He got hurt right off the off the steps.
But yet you're making love videos for Robbie
No
Robinson.
question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
Chris, better hair on the back. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 39. I am your host, Daniel Granada. Alongside me, my co-host, Chris Duran. How are you doing, KBD?
I am super solid. We got a super packed show today. We got to make up a lot of ground. We had a great guest earlier this week with Fernando Fiori, and now it's time to break down some numbers, talk about last game and the next game. So this is going to be jam-packed for sure.
Yeah. We had to call an audible on Monday. We had Fernando on, and he was telling so many stories. We kind of just let him roll with it, and we just decided, you know what, we'll talk about Philly on Wednesday. So that's kind of what we're going to do today. We're going to kind of jam-pack that Saturday game into a couple minutes before we have our NYCFC guests come on in about 9:15 or so. So let's get to it. We started off 2-0. Now, I listened to a little bit of everybody from Inter Miami as far as podcasts go. I follow a bunch of Inter Miami Twitter pages. Not many people predicted Inter Miami to win on Saturday. Honestly, I think it was just us. Now, I will admit, I thought we would win because I thought Philly might not play all of their players. I thought we might see Damian Lowe. I thought Julio Carranza might only play like the first half.
Which surprisingly,
if I would have known Philly would have come out full strength, we're trying to win this game, I might not have predicted a win either. But regardless, I did. So I'm going to take that W anyway because I did predict the win, and we got another clean sheet. How do you feel about the game on Saturday?
Well, the game was fantastic. It was great. Two very exciting goals, and I really was impressed with the way that they were playing defense. Because at some point, and that's not something that I really thought would stand out in terms of the game, but it did make a big difference. I mean, Sergei Kristoff, he played incredibly. I mean, I love the fact that he is just so experienced and comes in with, I guess, this sort of different pedigree or whatnot. I think that he's making a tremendous difference in the back four.
Big time.
Big time. And it's exciting to see that two new players scored goals this week.
Well, okay, you call it exciting. I'm a little more worried about it, but I get what you're saying. So we had that first goal from Coco. And let me backtrack. We got 2 assists, right? We got Pizarro got an assist, and we got Mota who got an assist. Now, I don't want to take any of the credit away from Mota because Mota, I thought, played a hell of a game. That guy's all over the field. He even made it on Team of the Week or Match Day Player of the whatever the hell they changed the name to. So he made it on the bench, but whatever. But he made it on there. Again, no credit taken away from him. But that Pizarro assist to Coco, that wasn't an assist. In my opinion, he lost the ball. It ended up at Coco's feet, and Coco hit that beautiful shot. Fast forward to Mota's second goal. I don't think that was an intentional assist either. I think he was chipping the ball over to Pizarro, and Robert Taylor just managed to go ahead and cut the ball through.
Well, and I'll tell you this much. The one thing that's happening, I think that it's your camera microphone that's getting picked up. But while you get that fixed, look, you have all the right to be able to say that, these are two sort of spare goals that weren't expected and just blasted through, right? And that is a little scary. It's a little worrisome because there was no way to be able to say that they collectively, strategically, tactically made these plays happen, made these points make a difference. And so,
doesn't that worry you? Is my mic better, by the way?
Yes, it's super better. Yes.
Thank you,
better.
Matthew. That
does worry me. It doesn't worry me as much as it worries you because I still love the fact that we're doing good without Campana. Like Joseph Martinez, I'll tell you right now, everybody is saying
he's not getting any chances.
That he's not doing enough, right? But there's a difference. Like it's not getting set up for him properly. It's I don't know if you remembered, but watching him and Campana play, I felt like they were playing so smooth together in the way that they passed each other the ball and played amongst each other. And that makes a big difference. Like Coco John is not.
Well, and the difference also is that they're not playing with two strikers. When Campana comes back, he requires a lot of attention. So Joseph's going to find a lot more space to run into, and he's going to get freed up a lot more.
Yes.
But back to the whole, I'm more worried. I am more worried. If you think about it, those 2 goals we got in that first game against Montreal, the first one by Sergi, he basically made love to the ball. It hit him. He kind of thrusted it in, and that's how we scored that first goal. It was like, come on. That wasn't like necessarily a beautifully set up goal. And then that second goal, Lassiter hit the post. Then, oh my God, Borgelin struck it, got blocked. He got a second chance. He got it on the second chance. Like, are we good or are we lucky? Because I feel like those first 2 goals, that's necessarily being okay. Nice, Munoz. He called it. I'm not even gonna say it for those people listening on audio. So I feel like
he called it a Pinja goal.
Yes, exactly. So the first 2 goals I thought were, I didn't think necessarily it was the best offense, I would say. And then last game, we had 10 shots. Okay. Out of those 10 shots, how many do you think were on goal? If you had to guess.
I'd say 4, 5.
2. The 2 goals we scored were the only ones that were on goal. And out of the 10 shots that we took, 7 of them were from outside the box. We're not creating in that final third. Now, I'm happy that the players feel with the freedom that it's not just Mota anymore. Now we got a bunch of guys that are just letting it rip from outside the box. And I love that. If you can't make a shot that you don't take. So I like it. But I'm not necessarily thrilled about the way the offenses looked.
But I'll tell you, it's funny to see that John Mota, he's lit, bro. He's got nothing holding him back in life. He sees that thing. He's 40 yards away. He might body slam that into the back of the net. That's what I'm hoping for, right? Either
I like that,
or kick it to me so I could try to catch it. And then we can avoid getting that kid that sat next to us getting blasted in the face with the ball.
Yeah, poor kid. But look, I am a little worried about the offense because I think that I think our defense has been playing great. I think Drake has been solid. He's had a couple errors here and there, and we're gonna get into one of the errors that he had early in the first half. But Drake's been solid. The defense has been solid. The midfield has been great. Gregory, Mota, and Pizarro have all played great together. Pizarro, I think whenever he's had a chance in open space, he's not hesitating. He's going straight up the pitch. Like he's pressing the other team's defense. So I like how the midfield looks. But that final third, I'm sorry, I'm not impressed just quite yet.
Yeah.
So that does have me a bit worried.
Well, I love the fact that Pizarro is playing balls to the wall. Like he is running. He is hauling ass everywhere. And when it comes to his play, it's like you said before, right? It's, he's a DP. Is he playing like a DP? He's not necessarily playing like a DP. If it was just some rando, we'd be like, oh, he's doing pretty good. He's, getting better. But, I mean, look, is he playing like a DP? He's not. But we're talking about getting a guy back who we signed to a DP contract after being away from the team a year. He's coming in trying to prove himself, not just as a DP, but like as a useful human on the field, right? So he's doing that. And let me tell you, there was times where I was telling you during the game, he's handling the rock really nicely. His pace is good in terms of like keeping up with the players and timing it. Now his timing in the passes is brutal.
But look, I really like the way he's being aggressive because, like I said, that first possession of the game, the first time he touched the ball, Martinez, the CDM from Philly, he didn't close out on him quickly. Pizarro turned around and bucked it. He took it straight into the box, let it off to Joseph. Now Joseph from 2019 lets it rip on the first touch. He cut it back to his left, back to Pizarro, and obviously we didn't score because Jack Elliott made a great play. But I love the way Pizarro was aggressive from the very start. And like you said, if Pizarro has a different name on the back of his jersey, I think everybody's like, wow, we got something with this kid. But because it's Pizarro, it's going to take more to sell everybody. But I do think he's playing well. DP money well? Not yet, but I think he is playing well. But I got Steve here killing me about the luck when I said that they were lucky. Those first 2 goals that that Pinja goal and the three, I get it. You make your own luck, right? They had to be in position to score those. So to an extent, I agree. But the guys were paying the big bucks to make these plays, right? We brought in Stefanelli. Stefanelli hasn't necessarily looked that great to me. I still rather have Bryce Duke playing the 10 over Stefanelli. Joseph, he's getting paid DP money because Atlanta's paying half of it, but he still hasn't looked great. I understand that he's not fully fit and whatnot, but we're not there yet with the players that we're expecting to score these goals. We're getting it from all the other people, and I'm not sure how great I feel about that right now. But
and the great thing is that we've been playing well enough, and especially taking advantage of opportunities that are placed in front of us. Speaking of opportunities placed in front of us, we had Robert freaking Taylor that just decided to blast a volley right off the chest, right over the goalie. I mean, that was one of the most beautiful goals I've seen. Not just in these couple games, but in the past couple games of last year, and you've always talked about you've always talked about how skilled this kid is. And let me tell you something. I've been telling you from day one, this kid just goes out there and plays soccer. That's his life. Well, remember in the off season, I would hit you up and I'd be like, you see this guy? He's soccer, bro. Everybody else
he was training out in Europe,
in Fort Lauderdale Beach. Yeah, this guy's like literally living, breathing, and sleeping next to soccer balls all freaking day. So that was what put us up 2-0, gave us the little cushion that we needed in order to finish off the game against Philadelphia.
Well, I'm one. Look, we need to figure out a way to get Bryce Duke on the field more and Robert Taylor, because I feel like Robert Taylor, look, he can. The thing is, Pizarro's been playing well, so it's going to be kind of hard to justify taking Pizarro out and putting Robert Taylor in his place. But I think Robert Taylor needs to see the pitch more. And again, Stefanelli, he hasn't looked bad. He has great work rate, right? He's all over the place. But to me, Bryce Duke, he just keeps proving himself with his passes and his touches. He works great with the midfield. I think that Bryce Duke is unfortunately being left out and not given enough minutes. I think we need to find a way to get him involved more.
Well, look at my man Matthew. Look at my man Matthew sitting there with that tux and that bow tie, talking about that Taylor plays pickup in Palm Beach every now and then. That's crazy. That's when you know that guy's got a problem, and it's a great problem to have. And for sure, we're talking Taylor over Coco, Chanel, and Duke. Oh my God, Steve, come over here, bro. We're having a barbecue in the back because your view is golden, my friend.
Well, you know what? Taylor over Coco, I could see that. Now, before we get into NYCFC, I just want to end it with this. Drake Callender, I think he's been very good, right? And he's made some very impressive one-on-one saves. But a few of those one-on-one saves have come because he's made some type of error and given the ball away where he has to kind of make that miracle save because he ends up in that one-on-one situation. Now, how do you feel about Drake? Because I'm starting to get a little worried. There was a play last game where he basically did a spine buster on one of the Philly guys, and I don't know how they didn't call a penalty on it. And
that was close. Just left out at that point
because that was a bit aggressive. He needs to be smarter than that, and the way he gives away the ball is killing me. So how do you feel about Drake? Because right now I'm happy, but I wouldn't say I'm thrilled the way that he's, doing with the ball at his feet and the way he's coming out on some offensive players.
The way that I see it is, if I'm the other team and I'm studying tape on Inter Miami, I'm sending the whole lot to Drake Callender. Like at least two people aggressively attacking him, because he does this thing where the pass comes in and he kind of sets it up to his left, sets it up to his right, takes his time, surveys the field. I mean, he's a phenomenal goalie. But your feet skills ain't like that at this point. So it's a scary situation for sure.
All right. So we're 2-0, 6 points. First time we win the first two games. First time we won the first game. First time we win the second game. We're technically first in the East, even though for some reason most rankings have a second behind New England. I'm not even sure how that works, but I'm not going to get into that right now. We are looking forward to Saturday, NYCFC. We're playing in the sandlot that is Yankee Stadium, and we have a special guest. We have Michael. Oh man, I don't want to butcher your last name. Michael Anderer.
Anderer, yeah, it's German.
Anderer.
Oh,
Okay,
Anderer.
it sounded a lot easier the way you said it versus Danny. Danny's here trying to
Yeah,
throw
no,
spins on it.
I know that was pretty brutal. My fault.
No problem. I got to give you credit and props for the Yankee hat. You know, you'll fit
Listen,
right in at Yankee Stadium,
Listen,
right?
I don't mean to
Well,
be disrespectful or anything, but hold on.
yes, he does. Yes, he does. He definitely does.
Let me just make a change here real quick. Okay. Let me just make a change here. Right? Put on my Brooklyn Dodgers hat. You know, we're talking balls and sticks today, my friend.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something, Michael, before we get started. I was originally an NYCFC supporter. I got into the MLS back in 2013, but I needed a rooting interest. I'm originally from New York. I'm from Brooklyn. And at that time, I found out that NYCFC and Orlando were going to get teams. I was living in Miami, and I said, I can't root for Orlando, so I'm just going to go with NYCFC. And then I rocked with NYCFC until 2018 came around, found out that Inter Miami was going to have a team, and then I jumped ship because, I can go to the home games or whatnot. So here I am, but I am a Yankee fan. I am a Jets fan and all that other good stuff. Inter Miami is the only Miami team I root for. But yeah, so I know some of the history. I got you with that.
No, and then look, I mean, that's why a lot of NYCFC fans are NYCFC fans. They were fans of MLS from back in the day, and then when they had the chance to join a team that was starting from scratch, that's exactly what they did. So no hard feelings, and you got to support local soccer. That's ultimately what we're all here to do.
For sure. So we got this game. Oh, go ahead.
No, and I think that is phenomenal because Danny, aside from being a Yankees fan, he is misery at its finest when it comes to a sports fan. He loves some of the worst teams and has the worst luck. But
sure.
NYCFC,
I promise you that if I was still an NYCFC supporter, they wouldn't have won the chip 2 years ago. I promise you.
It would have been super jinx.
I know. Now everybody's going to want me to jump ship again. All right. I'm sorry, Chris. I cut you off.
No. Go ahead.
Okay. So I know that you guys had a large turnover this offseason. Right? Well, not necessarily just this offseason, throughout the last year or so, right? Because you guys lost Sean Johnson, Maxi Morales, Alexander Ring left right before you guys won the chip. Like that core of group of players that I felt like was the essence of NYCFC is no longer there. How is this team coming along this year under Cushing?
Well, it's been a rough start. Obviously, they lost the first game in Nashville and then drew in Chicago, and that was a game where they had the lead up until the 80th minute and then conceded a really weird goal off a deflection. But you did talk about the departures. But look, last week we got two surprises. Santi Rodriguez, who was the number 10, who was supposed to be replacing Maxi Morales, he came back. And then James Sands, the number 6 player during the championship season, he came back from his loan with Rangers. So that changes the dynamic of NYCFC quite a bit. Their midfield against Nashville looked atrocious. No bones about it. Keaton Parks, who is a player that a lot of people think should be getting national team call-ups, has looked pretty weak. But I think it's this change of who's around him and trying to get acclimated. And Santi Rodriguez, who's the number 10, he only played 10 minutes against Chicago. Granted, it was the 10 minutes when we conceded that goal. But let's see what happens now that he's got a full week of training. And it'll be, again, it's really tough to beat NYCFC in Yankee Stadium. That's the one thing that I think fans are hopeful, but that even though it's been a rough start for the first 2 games, coming back to Yankee Stadium, they're going to feel good and the team's going to feel confident. And Miami's it's a tough place to play. The sight lines are challenging and the field dimensions make it tough.
Sean Johnson left. I forgot the new kid's name. Is it something with a B?
Barraza.
Barraza. How's Barraza been looking? Because Sean Johnson was, in my opinion, up there with Blake and our boy Drake as one of the best goalies. I felt like losing him would be a huge loss. Like, how's he looking?
Well, it is a huge loss. Again, he was the captain for 2 years. It was the biggest thing that I wonder about is you guys put 2 against Andre Blake. What are you going to do against Luis Barraza? But look, Barraza is a really good goalkeeper. His style is very similar to Nick Raimondo. He trained in that system. So he's a smaller goalkeeper, but he's got lightning quick feet and he's got great reactions. He
Yes,
really
that's what I
hasn't been.
noticed as well.
He hasn't been culpable in any of the goals. Maybe the first goal against Nashville, he got a finger on it, and rather than being able to put it out of bounds, it fell to Walker Zimmerman. But the other two, the second goal was a wide open shot. They, the defense let him down, and then the goal against Chicago, it was a deflection. He was making the right move and was getting in the right position, and it bounced off a player's knee. And it's one of those things where you really can't fault him. The one thing that we did discuss about a lot in the this week's episode of our show was that Barraza, his distribution has not been as good as as we thought it was going to be. Matt Freese is the backup. He was the backup for Andre Blake, and you can understand why he was a backup in Philly for so long.
Right.
And he came over to NYCFC, and the criticism was, well, look, Freese is a great shot stopper, but he's not used to playing with his feet because Philly was a dump and run type of team. And let's see if Barraza keeps up his distribution the way it was against Chicago. There might be a situation where NYCFC says, let's give Freese a chance.
Well, that's the issue we're having with Drake right now also.
Yes. And the one thing I also noticed in watching the last couple games with NYCFC is that defensively, you could tell that they're at least I could see that they're struggling. And last game, it felt like they had so many fouls, like the frustration was there, right? Before the season started, we were talking about NYCFC. I literally thought that they were going to start like 4 janitors on the field because I didn't know who was going to be playing. But I mean, it seems like you guys got a decently solid team. But defensively, I just saw that a lot of players were really frustrated to the point where there were a lot of fouls.
Well, Chanel's still there.
Chanel is still there, but Chanel's playing the left side as opposed to his traditional right, and he's not left.
Kyan's left,
right? So Alexander Callan's left. He was the left-footed guy for so long that those two as a tandem were a very strong pairing, and it unfortunately. You'll see it with the passing patterns. Chanel can play with his left, but when he does most of his distribution, it's with his right. So it changes the way that side of the field is played. We have 2 new fullbacks. Brian Coufret came over from Mallorca. He's playing on the right side, and Mitja Lenic, 18-year-old from Slovenia, is playing on the right side. I'm sorry. So Coufret is on the left. Mitja Lenic is on the right side. Again, they both did well against Chicago, but again, you have 2 guys that are still getting used to the league, getting used to playing with their center back pairs. So it's a little bit tough. Not enough can be said about the addition of James Sands as the 6 and being able to close down that area. That goal, the second goal from Nashville, where Hani Mukhtar just dribbled through the midfield of NYCFC. That doesn't happen if James Sands is there, because James Sands knows how to take the foul if he needs to, and even take the yellow card if he needs to. And unfortunately, NYCFC in that first game let Mukhtar run right through him and then dump the ball off. Let's see again.
James Sands is what Inter Miami fans want Gregory to be, because he's a bulldog when it comes to the defense, but James Sands also can distribute the ball with his feet. He can find the forwards or the attacking midfield with the ball. Gregory, unfortunately, doesn't have those foot skills, so it's kind of like what we want him to be. But James Sands is a monster. He's one of your first homegrown players, also, isn't he?
He is the first ever homegrown player. His first appearance, he replaced Andrea Pirlo in a game, so you can't beat that for a memory. And when you watch the game on Saturday, I'll be surprised if it's more than 5 times that Sands takes a second touch before distributing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So many times he just knows where he wants to go with it, and he just plays it one touch. That's how he came up in the system. And the other thing is he played a year in Scotland. His mindset is so much faster pace of play than MLS.
And there's a couple guys in the chat that have a couple questions, so we're just gonna bounce off of them a little bit. Obviously we're looking forward to the game on Saturday, and so basically Steve Munoz is asking here how you feel about Pellegrini. in
Because
this upcoming
Pellegrini was
game.
ours.
Right, Pellegrini. Well, here's the question that we have. It's an honest question. Was he ever DP quality for you guys?
Quality? No, he was a DP, but he wasn't DP quality.
Okay.
What I
And that's
saw,
what
because I'm sorry to interrupt. I watched back the NYCFC game from last week, and what you see is what you get, and what we've got when we had him. He doesn't have that DP quality. He's not necessarily the worst player you're ever gonna see. He has these moments of I don't want to say brilliance, but he has these moments of competence, but definitely not DP quality. So once I saw that Santi was back, I thought to myself, Pellegrini is lost again because he's going to lose his job, and I don't know how long he's going to be around with NYCFC or Citigroup, but he's not taking Santi's position.
No, he's not taking Santi's position. Now, again, we do need some depth, so maybe he could be the guy who gives Santi 10 minutes of a rest at the end of a game.
He
The
could
other
do good
thing,
in that position.
and I think there's an opportunity for him to play it on the left wing. And during the preseason, he played a lot on the wing, and Nick Cushing was happy with his performance on the wing. And again, NYCFC has tried Thiago Andrade there the first game, and then another homegrown Andres Jason there the second game. I think the biggest thing is Talish Magno is a great player for NYCFC, but he's playing out of position. He's not a striker. So Talish Magno should be playing that left wing, but NYCFC is trying to still work on that project of keep making him a 9, and that opens up that left wing. So Pellegrini could have some minutes. You could see him play some minutes there. I quite honestly was surprised he didn't play more again in that playoff game, because I figured he knew the squad. He might have better chances, but it never happened.
Now, I want to take this chance to say something real quick, Chris, because I don't want to forget, and I meant to say it earlier, and I completely forgot. So I'm going to take this chance to congratulate you, because I forgot to congratulate you guys. Blue City Radio, NYCFC podcast just celebrated their 400th episode. That's a big deal. 400 episodes. You guys have been doing this for a while. So I didn't want to let this go by without saying, because I didn't want to forget to say it later on. So congratulations, because 400 episodes is a big deal. Congratulations for that to you and your co-host, because I know it's not just you on there.
Well, I appreciate it very much. Thank you so much.
Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry I cut you off.
And bouncing off of that, I mean, look, here's a little shade towards Danny, talking about how confused he is. He's wearing a New York Yankees fitted with a Miami kit, right?
Well, I don't know if it comes through in the camera, but this is a pink Yankee fitted, because we're gonna paint Yankee Stadium pink this weekend. So please cut me some slack. This was intentional, okay? I had every intention to actually go to this game. I'm not going to be able to go now. And I heard that the weather's going to be horrible on Saturday. Is this true?
Oh, if you like 36 and rainy, it's perfect.
I do not. That is why I now live in Miami. So, but yeah, I know that the weather might play a factor also, because, look, I've always thought NYCFC, I don't want to say it's unfair, but it is unfair. They have quite the home field advantage, because playing in that narrow pitch, they're accustomed to playing in that narrow pitch. We're going to have Franco Negri, who just came from I forgot where he came from.
This guy gets injured like 7 times a game,
and he plays wide, right? He's almost like a wing back, because he contributes so much on the offense. We have been building up on the wings a lot this season so far, because originally we're going to play a diamond, a 4-4-2 with Campana and Joseph up top. Because Campana hasn't played, we switched to a 4-2-3-1, and we've been going wide often the first 2 games. I don't think that's going to be an option for us this week. So I'm not sure what exactly Neville's going to do to kind of work around these narrow conditions. How do you guys
20-mile-per-hour winds?
You guys play up the middle, I'm assuming.
No, I mean, we used our width a lot. Again, the last year when Nick Cushing had his most successful run, he was playing a 3-4-3. It was 3-man in the back, and then the wing backs were playing on the outside of the midfield. So it was narrow in the midfield, but you got width, and those wing backs moved up the field quite a bit. The problem with Negri he's gonna have is when he's defending for one half, he's gonna be on that part of the field that has all that sod. And again, if he's a guy who's not used to it, it could get into his head that he's going to be unsure of his footing and be nervous to try out some things. And that's going to be a side that he's going to be defending on, not necessarily attacking on.
Yeah.
And it feels like he's made out of glass. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets subbed off quickly. And as soon as he gets subbed off, there goes McVay. He moves over to left back, and we get Sailor in to come. It's and we're not gonna get
It's
into
gonna be tricky.
these. Yeah, it's gonna be definitely tricky, and this is what I'm worried about, because playing in Yankee Stadium is definitely tricky.
And you guys as a team in the last game, just looking at some of the statistics, the NYCFC attacked 43% from the right side of the field. And I know that you mentioned that there's a player that was, I don't know if I got it confused, a player playing out of place on the right side.
No, the player. Well, the guy out of place was Pellegrini.
Yes.
In the 10. No, on the right side, we're on the right side. We're very strong. We have a we have a new player.
No wonder.
We have the 18-year-old fullback Micha Lenic from Slovenia, and our best attacking option, because he's playing in position, is Gabby Pereira. He's our right wing, and he scored an unbelievable goal. Just basically, pushed the ball around a defender. It was one of those things where you thought there was like a magnet in the goal that he was pushing the ball towards. But the reason
I thought he was passing the ball.
Yeah. The other reason why that we attacked so much up the right side is because we had this homegrown on the left, and he kept getting dispossessed, wasn't making the right run, so they just kept pushing the ball to the right.
And I don't know if you play FIFA, Mike, but Magno is highly rated on there, and Matthew says that we're sleeping on Magno. Now, of course, we talked about a little bit that he's playing a little out of position. He should be out on the wing. So are we sleeping on Magno or what? What's the deal?
I think the league is because they haven't seen the best of him. I think that's the biggest challenge. The beauty about NYCFC is when they get into the attacking portion of their game, the 4 or 5 players that are in the attack, they will rotate positions constantly. So Santi might pop out on a wing, Magno might pop out on a wing. They'll take turns pressing from the middle. You saw in the game against Chicago, Pellegrini as a 10 was the highest pressing player a couple of times. So it is very easy for these players to just combine. They're all South American, or at least with the exception of the homegrown, they're all South American, either Argentinian or Brazilian, or Santi's Uruguayan, but they know each other. They're comfortable with each other. So I agree that the league is sleeping on Talish because he's been forced to play out of position. But when you get him isolated and when you give him that chance, he's a guy who's very skillful on the ball, but he just needs to put that final piece together where he can get the shot off quick and challenge keepers. That's been his biggest thing, is that he sometimes he thinks too much, and let's see what happens. I mean, he's ripe for a goal. NYCFC needs goals. They've only gotten one out of the first 2 games.
Now, do you guys defensively, do you guys press often, or do you let the game kind of come to you on your half of the field?
Because we're a pressing team. Okay. Again, we're more of, I guess, the what we'd call a counter pressing team. So we're really about getting the ball back if we give it up. But I mean, we're not going to let the center backs bounce the ball around without any pressure. You'll see them. They want that ball in the middle of the field as early as they can, because that's where they know they can win the midfield battle.
And talking about Magno, the one thing that I watched him a lot last year, and I brought up to a buddy of mine. I said, this guy's nasty, but then they would also tell me that he's injury prone, or he's had some injuries in the past. But that kid's got a ton of potential. He is really, really skilled. So if there's one player that I would kind of be worried about, especially since he's due, it would definitely be Magno, because I mean, this kid's gonna have a come out party at some point.
Look, I mean, this guy should be probably playing in Europe if he wasn't so injury prone. Liverpool was a team that was looking to sign him, and then he had some leg injuries, and that's why he was available for when NYCFC went and picked him up. They expect him to be sold for quite a bit of money if he can stay healthy and perform.
Well, speaking of Liverpool, we had a comment a little earlier. I just couldn't find the timing for it. But Adrian,
we're not talking about the Red Wedding, are we?
No, no, no. So Adrian's asking, right? He wants to ask you, Mike, how can you have a Liverpool scarf but follow a Citigroup team?
Well, I guess
Uh,
because it's really about NYCFC is my MLS team, and that's it. Even though
No
they're a
love for Man
CFG
City?
team. No, not well. You know what? I definitely agree with this. I'm not one of those people that look. By the time I started really, I watched Premier League, but I was never a fan of any particular team. And Man City was already the team that had all that money, was pumping all that money into the Premier League and winning. And I didn't want to be considered a front runner. So
of
and
course, yeah.
again, Liverpool has that history. They've got that. They've got a long history in the Premier League, but they have their ups and downs. They're not a team that you'd sit there and go, okay. I mean, I almost say Liverpool is like the Boston Red Sox of the Premier League.
Jack Harrison, were you rooting for him when he went to Man City?
Well, Jack Harrison went to basically to where did he go? Middlesbrough was where he signed with CFG and Man City, but then he was almost immediately dropped down to the Championship, and then he was transferred to Leeds, and then has been playing with Leeds. No, Jack Harrison is one of my favorite players. I was in Baltimore when he was drafted. I got to meet him and his mom on the day he was drafted. Have a great relationship with him. Was there to watch his development. So he's definitely a favorite of mine.
Just saying how to Esteban Dito, a good old faithful, just jumped on. What's going on, Esteban?
I have to bring up Steve's comment because I've been wanting to ask Mike myself. Where did you get that Apple scarf, Mike? Because out of all the scarves that you have back there, I was looking at that Apple scarf and I said, wow, that looks really nice.
You guys didn't fill out the survey at the start of the year? MLS sent out a survey to all the people that have been covering the league, and I see you guys on 39 episodes.
No.
So
yeah,
again,
no.
you've definitely been around.
We're still new.
Yeah.
No, but you're still covering the league, and it was basically a generic survey. Hey, thanks for covering the league. Tell us your shirt size, and that's it. And the guys who have, again, we've done 400 episodes, but we don't have a huge national following. But some of these podcasts and YouTube shows, they have a big following. They got Apple consoles. I only got the scarf. I was happy, but I'm happy with the scarf. I got the scarf, and I got a dry fit shirt from Adidas that says Season Pass on the shoulder.
Nice.
You got 2 more items than we did, so at least you got that. All right, so we press a lot, right? This season we've been pressing. We've been bringing the pressure. Is that going to be a key for us because of your goalie's lack of skill with the ball at his feet or distribution? Like if you were to talk to Inter Miami fans and say, hey, this is why you should feel confident about this game coming up. Why should we feel good about the game? Not that you predict that we're going to win, but if we had to think of the keys for our hopeful victory, what would they be?
Well, I mean, I think just like I said, Talish Magno is ripe for a goal. I think Joseph Martinez is ripe for a goal. Martinez has been very good against NYCFC. Granted, a lot of that was with Atlanta, but
right.
Martinez is a guy who knows how to fight and compete, and he's definitely a guy who gets into our players' heads. Maxime Chanot, you mentioned him earlier. He's a guy who's been around since 2016 for the club. He's the longest tenured player for NYCFC. But one of the things he struggles with is he gets a little bit too lax in his possession. And again, he's playing out of position. He's playing on the left side now as opposed to the right. Back in 2016, 2017, when he was learning the CFG system or the NYCFC system of possession out of the back, he would make mistakes because he would be thinking too much. And Joseph is a guy who can take advantage of that. And I think that's been going to be our biggest thing. I wouldn't worry about Barraza so much because if Barraza gets nervous, he'll just kick it long, but he could give up possession and kick it out of bounds. My biggest concern would be the relationship with Martinez versus Chanot, and Chanot being out of position.
Now we've been working on set pieces and trying to improve that. Now I saw that goal last week. Kai Kamara was completely unmarked. Is this an issue that you guys have been having this season? Because we've had our own issues in the past with scoring off of set pieces, and I feel like we're starting to get maybe a little better. We got a couple big bodies in there now. Has that been an issue for you guys this season so far?
Oh, yeah, this far, that's an easy answer. The answer is yes, because 2 of the 3 goals that NYCFC has conceded have been off set pieces. Granted, they've been recycled set pieces, but they're
Right.
set pieces nonetheless. Um, Again, James Sands, I hate to put so much pressure on that player, but I think him being there in the middle will add some consistency and some fight in winning some of those battles. And I think the other part of it is I think Nick Cushing is the coach. Look, when Nick Cushing took over for Ronnie Dyla last year, one of the first things he did was he looked at the most frequent goals we were conceding as a team, and he said we're going to stop that goal. And he made a change to the formation. I would be shocked, and unfortunately we won't be talking to Cushing this week until tomorrow. But I'll be shocked if he didn't say, "Yeah, we spent a lot of time working on these set pieces and working on the marking." The one negative from NYCFC's perspective about set pieces is they do a blend of zonal and man marking, and that could play easily into the hands
Mm.
of
Some
if
confusion.
if Inter Miami and Phil Neville know that a couple of picks, maybe a screen, guys changing off position, you're not going to have to worry about the same guy marking your player. So Alexander Callens, who's not with the team, but he was a great player as far as defending in set pieces. He might not always be on your main guy or your target guy until he gets into a certain area. So if you know that, you can work around it. So that's definitely going to be an opportunity for Inter Miami. And I guess that's the other thing that NYCFC has been really bad at this season so far is they're giving up too many fouls in dangerous areas.
Yeah.
They did it against Chicago and they did it against Nashville.
Yeah, I saw that there were some silly fouls there, and that's basically how that only goal that Chicago scored came, because they came on a silly foul, which led to that set piece, which led to a poor clearing of the ball by, I think it was Chanot, which led to that deflection. It was like everything that could have gone bad in those
Went bad.
90 seconds went bad in those 90 seconds.
Kai Kamara was the guy wide open on the far side of that set piece. Why would Kai Kamara be the guy you leave wide open? At least
with the history that he has, respect him.
I think that's one of the last people you leave open in that sort of scenario.
So here's a question. Here's a question for you, because I know Pozuelo left the team. Who is your free kick taker that would go direct, direct on frame?
It would either be. Well, I'm sorry to cut you off, Chris. I thought you.
Well, I was going to say, because lately the way that it's been is Jean Mota has been the guy that's been standing behind blasting off. I mean, this guy's got no shame in his game.
Yeah.
Anywhere that the ball is, whether it's stopped or whether it's not, he is going to blast it. So he's been one that's been sort of I mean, is there anybody else you could think of, Danny?
Pizarro. It's either Mota or Pizarro. Those are the two free kick takers.
But he's talking about in the sense of a free kick taker that's gonna go for goal, not set it up for a pass. And to me, Jean Mota is one of the only ones that every time he's taking a free kick, he's going straight to goal with that. I haven't seen him dish it out once.
Now, and I don't think that Mota is gonna have as much space as he usually does to blast those 50-yard field goals that he likes to do once or twice a game, because James Sands is going to be, and Keaton are going to be on it. But guaranteed, he'll have at least 2 to 3 shots from outside the box during the game. He'll figure out a way to do it, but he's going to have some. But it keeps the defense honest.
Well, and Matthew's pointing out that Pizarro went for goal once this year. So, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. But in terms of, I think, likelihood of going goal from a free kick, it's probably going to be Mota versus Pizarro.
Yeah,
and let me tell you, the NYCFC must be thanking the Lord's graces because Pozuelo is not on this team anymore, because he was a killer.
and that's exactly where I was going with that question, because that it's a huge weight off our shoulders to worry, because we've constantly given up easy opportunities 20 yards out, and Pozuelo has been a guy who's killed us.
Yes.
That game that you guys lost to us down here in Miami last year, Pozuelo had the I think it was 2 goals, and then the celebration of the year when he took off his shirt and started yelling into the crowd. That's still the best picture of last year. So yeah, Pozuelo was definitely an NYCFC killer, and I could look forward to that. I'm hoping that, like you said, Joseph has had success over there. Also, he's accustomed to playing in that narrow pitch.
Well, I'll tell you, the Pozuelo's the one that got away, Mike. She's the one that got away. That's what Pozuelo is to us.
But we let her go because we have hopes of greener pastures in the summer.
Of course, yeah, of Messi. I mean, because
Yes,
everybody else is talking about Messi coming over here.
That's literally the only reason we let him go, is because we still have hopes of getting Messi, and we already had those DP spots filled. And he needed DP money. He said he wouldn't play for less than DP money. And unfortunately, even though Pizarro's played well the first 2 games, we didn't want to bring back Pizarro. But we loaned him out to Monterrey and Liga MX. They didn't want to buy him. Came back. Nobody else wanted him. So here we are. Again, he's playing decent, so can't complain too much, I guess. But definitely, that's why we lost Pozuelo.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mike, Saturday, how are you feeling about the game? What are you thinking?
You know, I was listening to a different NYCFC podcast today, and they were talking about their predictions. And my heart immediately went to a 2-0 victory for NYCFC, just because we've usually done well at Yankee Stadium and on home openers. The problem is, I don't
on the table quick.
But I don't think I don't have any confidence on us getting a clean sheet. So I think I'm going to lead towards a 2-2 draw.
Okay.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah. My initial gut instinct was 2-0 NYCFC, but then I said, you know what? I can't imagine we're going to be able to keep you guys off the, again, you've scored 2 goals in both games you've started. You're obviously on a hot streak. We will be happy just to at least, get you guys to get your first draw and not win the game. So.
Well, one of our guys here in the chat, Esteban Dito, is predicting a grand slam against NYCFC. So
I'm sure you get those baseball jokes all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, but I think
it comes with the territory.
Right. And I think the one thing that people forget, if you're not an NYCFC fan, is, look, we get it. It's our home. It's our home field. Yeah. So we have that admiration for it, for a place where we can go watch the team, but we're not sitting there going like, oh, I can't, I'm so excited to be playing in a baseball stadium. So that's the thing. It's, we understand the jokes. It hurts when people make fun of us. Look, Matt Miazga, and who is Carlos Vela? I think they both did the home run swing, celebration in the stadium. It hurts us, but it's part of the territory. And we just sit there and look back at our record as far as how many points we've collected in that stadium. We go, come at us.
Well, in a couple years, the good thing is you could just take the 7 train and go out to Queens now, right? Yeah. You can hopefully at some point in the near future, right, that day will come and you guys will have an actual, soccer pitch to work with. We're waiting on a field as well. So I'd say around the same time that you guys are getting the field, we're going to get our field over in Miami.
Okay, well, let's be real, Chris. We're going to have 2 stadiums built for Inter Miami before NYCFC has one. Because we
might have a foundation. We might have a foundation already built by the time
But we should have 2 full stadiums for us in the time, and NYCFC is still going to be waiting for their Citi Field. Now, I will tell you one thing that I've thought that it's borderline disgraceful, and I really hate that you guys have to go through it. You guys play games in the Red Bulls Stadium, and there can't be anything worse than having to play home games in your rival state. I can't imagine having to go watch Inter Miami play in Orlando. Like that sucks.
That's dreadful.
How was the attendance to those games?
The average attendance was about, they called it 6,000. I think there was one game, I think it was against Nashville. I think it was the game that Anton Tinnerholm busted his Achilles heel, or his Achilles tendon. I think there was 2,000 people in the stands. It was brutal, but I think it was, in the beginning, the fans, the first couple of games were CCL games, and you could understand why those games were getting played there, because Yankee Stadium was doing renovations. They couldn't get the field set. Actually, it was also because CONCACAF didn't approve Yankee Stadium for CCL. So you could say, okay, there's not much you could do about it. But then it became I guess it was the championship season, 2021. We played our first couple of regular season games there, and it was tough. That it started with about 4 or 5,000 of fans traveling, and then eventually the fans said, you know what, we're not going, because if we keep going, then they'll keep playing there. And then because of that, those protests, 2022, we didn't play any games there. Not that I can remember.
Well, you were
No,
supposed
I
to play the playoff game there, but
Oh,
then
yeah,
they
that was right.
completely
And then
screwed us. And then the Mets got eliminated in the wild card round, and we ended up playing in Citi Field. So
I did hear a funny story that even the day of that playoff game, uh, the Inter Miami ownership, the coaches, they were all walking around Citi Field complaining about everything. They were complaining about
Yeah.
about the outlets being upside down in the locker room, because they figured it was affecting how the team was going to play, because they were just so upset that the game had gotten moved from Red Bull Arena.
but
Yes.
I mean, because they were prepared to play on a soccer pitch, and then they ended up playing in and Higuain's. I mean, I'm not going to say he had the greatest career of all time, but he did have a great career for a professional soccer player, and to end it in a baseball stadium,
Yeah.
man,
It's
that's
brutal.
Talk
bet
about
you
hitting a
didn't-
home run. I mean, his last shot was a home run.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
he had
was.
a chance, and he definitely sailed it.
Well, and I'll tell you this much, as far as going to Red Bull Arena, I was listening to a podcast where there was another NYCFC podcast joined a Miami podcast earlier this week. They literally said they'd be willing to fly to Miami before hopping the Hudson to go to New Jersey. And I hear that, and I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And I get it, but I couldn't believe it.
No, I know those guys well. That's the NYCFC Forever podcast. I think they were on
Yes.
Football Miami TV.
Yes.
With Peter Brown and Special Ed.
Yeah, but those guys are New York City born and raised. They bleed blue, but they're also guys who are diehard, and they know how hard. Look, it's what, 20 miles, but it can take you long either via mass transit. Which, I mean, that's the crazy thing. There is actually mass transit that gets you out there. But look at Red Bull attendance, and then you'll realize, how hard it is to actually get there. There are trains that'll get you there. The problem is the trains can't get you back in any way that's convenient. So,
and at that
people
time,
just don't go.
Uncle Ed, my fault. Yeah, I'm sorry. Lucas just threw me off.
Yeah, I mean, but that's that.
somewhere.
I could be able to see and understand why that would be such a mission. I mean, look, if I was an NYCFC supporter, 9 times out of 10, I would love for every game to be played in the Bronx, right? I mean, fortunately, in the future, you guys will be able to have your own stadium within the 5 boroughs, but it's something that obviously a ton of teams and a ton of people have problems with. But I think that at this point, you guys won a championship, and what was it, Danny, with their 2x4 banner?
Yeah,
their postcard.
You know what? I mean, you can't remove that star anymore, so it's there forever.
Yeah,
but let me tell you something: the way that you guys barely beat Philly's B team in that Eastern Conference Final, I was like, oh my god, like what? I think Philly wins that game in Philly with their A squad,
with their A team.
Look, I'm not going to deny. Look, you're right. You're probably right that Philly had a good opportunity. The thing I would say is NYCFC won the championship, and look at how many teams struggled the year after their championship. NYCFC lost their striker, lost their coach, had already lost their defensive midfield, their starting defensive midfielder for that season, for the championship season, and still went on to the Eastern Conference Final and were leading 1-0 in that game. And I think it was a foolish decision by the coach in the Eastern Conference Final to make a substitution with a free kick for Philly in their attacking third. And we all know how that went. But it's still a situation. You can't take that championship away from us. I get it. Philly fans are going to complain, but it is what it is. Andre Blake shouldn't have had that party either.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, predictions for Saturday.
So, I was kind of going into this where I thought that it would be like 2-0, kind of like the pattern that we've been seeing. But I can't see Drake going away with a clean sheet on this one either, especially playing in New York, playing in the cold, playing while it's raining. It's going to be a sloppy game from what it sounds like. So I feel like it might be a tie game 2-2 as well. I could definitely see that happening. I feel like Joseph Martinez will get a goal.
Now,
And I feel like it's going to be 2-2. So I'll go with that.
Matthew in the chat said that he feels optimistic because Pellegrini is going to be on the pitch. Now, if you, is Pellegrini going to start? I figure Santi with the week of training is going to be the starter now, and Pellegrini might see some sub minutes, but for the most part, we're going to be seeing Santi at the 10.
Well, look, Santi's going to be at the 10. The question is going to be, does Pellegrini show well enough, because that left wing position is still open. Okay. And does he show well enough to compete for those minutes? But yes, I agree. Santi should be fit and ready to play the 10 position. I guess that's the question. I feel bad for not knowing this. Your first game against Montreal was at home, right?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
All right, so this is your first
two home
games.
game.
This is the first road game. Yep.
We
were horrid. We were horrid on the road last year.
Correct.
Yeah, but I think that playoff game, I think Neville's going to have them so ready for revenge. Yes, it's Yankee Stadium versus Citi Field, but I think Phil Neville's going to have them ready to say, you know what, guys, we're not giving them any excuses, and we're not taking, we're going to carry that momentum in. Neville's a great coach, so you can't fault him for for what he's done.
Thank you. And I'm going to put that on replay on Twitter that you said that, because Phil Neville has so many haters in the Inter Miami fan base.
It is,
and it's incredible. I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
He took this team that had we got 18 new players last year, and it took him a little while to gel them. The first 5 games, we had 1 point after 5 games. But after that, we went on a hell of a run and made the playoffs, ended up in the 6th seed when everybody counted us out. I think Neville did a great job. He only signed the 1-year extension. So he's after this year, we don't know if he's going to be our manager. But I think he deserves the spot, especially if we make the playoffs again, even though it's easier to make the playoffs now that you got like more than half the league in it. Like you said, we were a poor road team last year, like really bad. Like it's completely 2 different teams. And because of that, I don't want to say that I predict this hot streak of wins continuing, because I have to see it to believe it. Not only is this our first road test, but it's going to be in the low 30s, which our players, a lot of South Americans that have been training in Miami and South Florida for the last for the last couple months,
it's hot.
It's going to be difficult to all of a sudden adjust to 30-degree weather, the rain, a narrow pitch,
the wind.
It's just I don't see it as necessarily the most inviting conditions for a Miami team to walk into. Because of that, if this was on a neutral field or in Miami, I would say Miami should win. Because we're playing in Yankee Stadium, I think we'll be lucky to end up with a 1-1 draw. That's more or less where I'm seeing it. I'm seeing 1-1 draw, and if they prove me wrong and they win, okay, I'm gonna have to start thinking differently about this team. But until they can prove that they can win on the road or play better on the road, I can't say otherwise, because I mean last year we were just so poor on the road, and it was just alarming.
You and Capacito are on the same page.
Chris, you just mentioned it, the wind. Remember, it's the wind in Yankee Stadium. So there's an open end of the outfield where it becomes basically like it swirls.
Like a tornado. Yeah.
So it'll be challenging, and most teams now, because of the Apple contract, they know their set days for travel. Most teams will practice in their home stadium or their home training ground on Friday, and then fly out Friday afternoon. So that means you're arriving Saturday. You're not getting any. The only time you're really being exposed to the field is Saturday. Saturday before walkthrough. What, at 5:00?
Yeah. Listen, what I think that they should be doing in Miami is they need to book a flight a day prior to like Canada, practice out there for a little bit, and then come down over to New York, and then you can get ready for because Steve pointed out that only Christoph is going to be ready for this. That guy's a beast.
He's coming straight from Ukraine. Yeah, no, he's definitely.
He looks like he was born. He looks like he was born in snow. So I could
No,
definitely see him.
he's definitely the star on our defense. Our defense has looked solid. And look, like I said, we're a good team, and I don't think NYCFC has looked necessarily convincing yet. Because you now have Santi and Sands back. I think you guys are more formidable. First home game. I think that goes a long way. And like every part of me wants to say, I still think Inter Miami should win this game. But because of all those weather conditions, you guys being the first home game and us first road game, I'm just going to have a hard time seeing it. So I'm just going to play it safe with a 1-1 prediction. But I really, I don't know. I'll be happy getting out of there with 1 point.
We're all on the same page. We're here predicting a tie. It's going to be a sloppy game, right? And Esteban Dito is out here claiming that there's going to be a grand slam, right? 4-0. Look, Esteban, if we score 4 goals in the next game, meet me by the Heineken area. I got you with a couple beers.
And just to be clear, just for those that forgot, we're talking about playing in 30-degree weather next week. The following Saturday, we go to Toronto, so it doesn't get any easier. If anything, it might get colder. So,
well, this guy Esteban Dito thinks that we're just gonna left, right, ABA, get Pozuelo out of a portal, and then we're gonna come back and win the game with four goals. Like, what's going on here?
All right. Well, so you got it. So we all predicted a draw. I would love a win. I can't imagine starting off with 9 points this season after all the experts predicted that we were going to be like the 26th best team in the league. So we've gotten off to a hot start. I hope it keeps going, but I'll be happy with the draw. Michael, thank you for joining us. If anybody were to be interested in keeping up with NYCFC, where could they find you?
Oh, well, Dan, Chris, thanks so much for having me on. And I'm going to say thanks to Inter Miami. We love when another team beats Philadelphia. So that made us feel good. But no, I'm on, follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle's Blue CD Radio. Again, we just recorded our 401st episode. But we've been covering the team since before they played their first game. And we're happy to still be around 9 years later. So it's been a lot of fun and a lot of experience. And it's because of doing this work that we get to meet guys like you. So thanks so much. And look forward to seeing you guys on your 400th episode.
I appreciate that. And I did have something that I did want to bring up to you real quick that I forgot. NYCFC fans and Inter Miami fans have a very similar gripe with Apple TV. You guys lost Ian Joy and Joe Tolson. We lost Ray Hudson. And we have and we're dying. We're like, come on, we want Ray Hudson. Why did you not sign Ray Hudson? And you're going through the same thing with your two guys. Like, how are we feeling about the Apple TV?
Well, it's funny because for our episode this week, we brought the broadcasting team from Yes Network onto our show for the first time. It was the first time they were on microphones together since their last NYCFC game.
And I bet you they didn't miss a beat.
They didn't miss a beat, but they joked that they were just too expensive. That basically, without giving up too much of the background story, because they didn't give it to us, but it was basically Apple came in and lowballed a lot of the guys, and the guys that took it, and the guys who said if Ray Hudson's not going to go there for BWP money, Ray Hudson's like, no, I'm a star in this world. Pay me what I'm owed.
Well, I think Ray Hudson's also an older gentleman, so I don't think he wants to have to because they're all based in New York. My understanding, he couldn't have stayed in South Florida, and because of that, it makes it a lot more difficult. At least that's the understanding I had.
The thing about play-by-play or color commentary, like, you really got to have it, right? You're talking about in soccer, and I just got into this sport like a year and a half ago, right? You really have to have that excitement when something crazy happens, when a goal happens. And I don't care how old Ray Hudson is, how long he's been doing this for. When he calls a call, everybody's going to remember it. He literally has videos upon videos on YouTube of him just calling calls for Messi. Like, I don't know if anybody else has that.
I mean,
I don't know if they do.
Are you guys going to be more excited about Messi coming back or Messi coming to Miami, or if Ray Hudson came back to Apple TV?
Give me Ray Hudson. I'm tired of this.
Give me Ray Hudson.
Crap, man.
Yes, give me
Get
Ray
out
Hudson.
of here with Messi. Get out of here.
Go ahead, Mike. I had one more question that I just remembered.
Wait, I just want to. I want to jump in on one thing.
Yeah.
Let's not forget there was stories. I guess it was a year and a half ago that Messi was going to play for Man City, play 2 years under Pep,
Well, and then go to NYCFC.
Then come to NYCFC. So that's the other thing that we have in common. We have in common that we both were sitting there going like, "Wait, Messi's coming."
Listen, let me just make it clear. Messi. Get out of here.
No, I want Messi. I definitely want Messi. But man, these rumors have been killing us for the last year. You guys are still top 5 betting favorites to win the cup. Why?
Well, I mean, the short answer is that sounds like easy money. Like, I mean, it's just take the bet, and because you don't have to put a lot down, and if we win, you get a lot back. I think it's a lot about there's just like you're sitting, or there's a certain side of the fan base that's saying, hey, Messi might be coming to Inter Miami in the summer. There's a lot of speculation that there's a number 9, and Firmino from Liverpool was one of the guys who was just rumored. There's a lot of speculation that CFG and NYCFC have already figured out who's going to be playing their number 9 position come the summer. And again, this is a league where regular season really doesn't mean much. You mentioned it, Dan. Half the teams are going to be making the playoffs. Get into the playoffs. You have a solid squad. You don't need to win 20 games in a season anymore. You need to get to the playoffs, and you need to be able to play hot for 5 or 6 games, and then you're hoisting a cup again. So I think that's one of the things.
Rumor?
Firmino.
Is he the rumor since he's leaving Liverpool?
Yeah, that would. Well, I mean, again, it's MLS. Any big player that's leaving Europe gets rumored to come somewhere.
Right, of course.
But that was one of the players that apparently he just come out and said that he told Klopp that he's not going to re-sign in the summer.
Yeah, no, that I heard. I just wasn't sure where he was going. But that would be interesting. We got a couple Liverpool fans and Firmino fans in this fan base that would be really excited to hear that he's coming to MLS. Maybe not NYCFC, but to MLS.
And again, NYCFC's most of their starting lineup our starting attack is Brazilian or Argentinian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. That's what we have. A lot of people that we've listened to that say that they want Inter Miami to focus strictly on South America. Now, I think it's silly to close yourself off to just South America. There are some Europeans like Sergi Christoph that we brought to be our center back that play great also. So if I don't care where they're from, just come and produce. But hey, going Argentinian and Brazilian is never a bad strategy either.
Especially on attack, where they don't have to do a lot of defensive work. They can just come up there and again, if you have a guy like Thales Magno, who's Brazilian, who you're trying to groom, bring a guy like Firmino up into the league or into the team, and they can play together for 6 months, and then you sell Magno as a superstar.
That's a no-brainer.
That's the plan. Yep. All right. Well, again, Michael, thank you again for joining us on episode 39. I really hope you guys lose this weekend, but if you don't, so be it. Chris, do you have anything else for the people?
No, man, Mike, again, definitely appreciate that you came on the episode. Again, congrats on episode 401. I know that Danny speaks very highly about you guys because he was an NYCFC fan for some time now.
I used to listen to you guys back. I don't listen to you guys anymore. I'll admit it.
No, but you're busy. I get it. You're making your own show. Why listen to us? And I want to say congratulations on Fernando Fiore. I mean, he's a great get as a guest.
Yes.
Oh yeah. He was awesome. He was definitely awesome, and we ended up having to call an audible mid episode because we're like, how are we gonna just focus in on this Philadelphia game when he has so many stories to tell? So kind of just rode with that. So it was awesome though, definitely cool. All right,
but yeah, Mike, definitely appreciate it for sure, man. Everything was fantastic. I wish we could have been able to go to the game this week, but unfortunately, due to circumstances and terrible weather, right? Thankfully, we're not going to go.
I'm happy that we didn't end up going.
Yeah,
I was like,
we're like seconds away.
When's NYCFC going to Miami? I think it's like September, right?
I think it is September.
Yeah,
I'll tell you right now.
But
and we were
hey,
seconds
down here?
away from making the purchase of the tickets.
Oh
Seconds
no!
away.
If you needed tickets to the game, I would have gotten you covered on tickets to the game. It's just tickets. I wouldn't have covered your airfare, but
Oh yeah, I know for sure. I mean, but and the
Ah,
and the
come on,
and the-
what's good with the ticket without the airport, Mike? September 30th. September 30th.
yeah. So that's
coming down.
definitely a date. I'll keep circled. Maybe I'll see you guys down in
Oh, yeah,
Miami.
you let us
Funny,
know. We'll
do
set something up.
you have time for a funny quick story?
sure,
Of
sure.
course.
So NYCFC started playing 2015. The tickets were in such high demand, even though they were playing in Yankee Stadium. Tickets were in such high demand. I knew so many people that were had season tickets and were just selling them. When Inter Miami was signed, I had season tickets in Inter Miami Stadium for the first season. But
Oh,
again, it
nice.
was a COVID season, so you guys didn't
For
play any
what?
games there.
So you ended up having season tickets for the second season because that's what I had. I paid for it in the first season, and they just transferred it over to the second season.
Right. I at that point I wasn't traveling. Yeah, again, once COVID happened, the ability to
Everybody
travel.
locked down. Yeah.
So, but that was the whole idea. It was like, you know what? I'll go to the games I want to just to see, the team and see what it's like, and then sell whatever tickets, and then ultimately. So, but I do have in my one of my storage bins, I do have that internet. Maybe that's a giveaway I should have for you guys. I have that inaugural season ticket holder package.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
You want to give it away to one of
Nice.
your listeners or one of your followers?
You know what? I usually we would, but because of what you just said about the COVID, they still have those things stacked up somewhere in the stadium, and they're constantly giving away the 2020 season ticket box.
I think I have it back here. I got
Yeah.
like 7
Along with the Danny little mannequin, picture that he has that sat in his seats.
Yes, and this is what sat in
Oh,
my
yeah,
seat.
okay.
So
Yeah, but they've been giving us, but I do appreciate the offer. But unfortunately, they still have them stacked up at the stadium. But so you come out to the stadium, so for sure we'll definitely link up and you let us know because I know. Let's be real, it's not that you want to come to watch your team; it's you want to come down to watch Messi in September. Like
I just
let's
want
be real.
to come down to spend some time in Miami because look,
So that,
New York City is a fun city. Miami's a fun city too.
and look, we actually do have some people that want it. Look, Steve said I'll take it off Michael if Michael doesn't want it. So there you go. So we'll talk to Mike off air for you, Steve. All right. So again, thank you guys for listening all the way to the end. This was episode 39 of the Battered Herons podcast. We'll be back on Monday when we recapped our 3-game winning
Choo-choo
streak,
draw.
9 points. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys later.